This is the story of Yahashavai raising Lazarus from the dead. This is based upon John chapter 11, verses 1 through 47. Now a certain man was sick, named Lazarus of Bethany, and he was from the town of Bethany, where he and his sister Mary and Martha resided. It was this same Mary which anointed Yahashavai with ointment and wiped his feet with hair. It was their brother who was sick. It was this family that Yahashavai had great relationship with, who he had talked to and ate with, who he had been able to give great words of encouragement. Therefore his sister sent unto him, saying, Adon, which means Lord, Adon, behold, him who thou lovest is sick. When Yahashavai heard, he said, This sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of Elohim, that the Son of Elohim might be glorified thereby. Everybody else did not comprehend what was going on. However, Lazarus was sick. A lot of us have dealt with people in our lives where they've been very sick, or we have different things that happen with our family or with our friends, different things that we're not sure what's going to happen in school and different things that are going on. And it seems like things are going to happen that we don't like. However, out of our relationship with Yahashavai, out of our being Yisrael, or we call Israel today, we know that Yahashavai is there for us because he loves us. Even when situations look bad, he is still there for us. So Yahashavai loved Martha and loved Mary and loved Lazarus. When he had therefore heard that Lazarus was sick, he abode 2 days still in the same place where he was. Then after that he saith to his disciples, Let us go into Judea again. Now this was something that was very crucial. This was something that was very important. This is something that we must recognize, because in our culture there was a tradition that had began to be taught, or something had began to be taught traditionally. What this means is that there was something that we were beginning to be taught and to say, even if it wasn't biblical. And we have to be careful that we do not say things that are just taught if they have no base in the Bible and the word of Yah. There was a tradition that basically said, if one has passed away, right? If one has passed away, then that person's spirit went around them, and it stayed around them, and it hovered over them for 3 days. And after 3 days, that spirit would go away. Yahashavai, hearing that Lazarus was sick, decided to still stay in the same place for 2 days and then take a 2 days journey. Everybody else would have thought that this was crazy, because this means that the spirit would have stopped hovering. But Yahashavai was going to show us that he is greater than any tradition. And no matter how long somebody lays down, he will be able to raise them up. So when he had heard that Lazarus was sick, he abode in the same place for 2 days and stayed where he was. Then after that, he said to his disciples, Let us go into Judea again. His disciples say unto him, Master, the Yahashavai, or what we would call the Jews, of late sought to stone thee, and goest thou thither again? They were trying to kill you. Why would you go to the place where they were trying to kill you? Why would you go to the place where they are trying to hurt you? Yahashavai answered them and said, Are there not 12 hours in the day? In our culture, there would be 12 hours instead of 24 hours. Every hour was 2 hours back then. And so he said, Are there not 12 hours in a day? If any man walk in the day, he stumbleth not, because he seeth the light of this world. But if a man walk in the night, he stumbleth, because there is no light in him. He was telling us that we should not be afraid to do what Yah has told us to do. And we are the light of the world. And if we are afraid of what somebody has said or what somebody's threatened us with, then we are not going to be able to show the light of the world. You, as Yah's child, you are the light of the world. You are the reason why people are going to become great. Do not allow your friends to take you outside of what Yah has for you and has for your family. Do not allow the people that you want to make happy take you outside of what Yah has determined is the best and the greatest for you. These things said Yahashavai. And after that he saith unto them, Our friend Lazarus sleepeth, but I go that I may awake him out of sleep. Then said his disciples, Adon, if he sleep, he shall do well. Howbeit, Yahashavai spake of his death. But they thought that he had spoken of taking of rest and sleep. Then said Yahashavai unto them plainly, Lazarus is dead. He knew that Lazarus had died before they even received the word. He knew that Lazarus would not be alive before they even started on their journey towards him. This means that Yahashavai already knew that Lazarus had passed away, and yet he was telling them he was asleep. The Bible declares that when we pass away, we will go into a sleep. However, he has died that we might be able to be raised from this sleep, for death has no power over us. Do not be afraid when you hear that somebody is sick, and do not be worried even if somebody does pass away, because even when they pass away, Yahashavai has already told us that we are simply asleep. We might not comprehend it right now. We might not even know why friends and family might have to go to sleep or to die. However, we do know that Yahashavai is with us and has prayed for us and has sacrificed for us, that even though we might be asleep now, we shall live in eternity. Yahashavai said, Lazarus is dead, and I am glad for your sakes that I was not there, to the intent ye may believe. Nevertheless, let us go unto him. Then said Thomas, which is called Didymus, Thomas, who is known as somebody who would doubt. Thomas said unto his fellow disciples, Let us also go, that we may die with him. Thomas was one who was known to doubt. Yet he said, as long as Yahashavai says it, as long as I hear it from his mouth, I will not doubt. Do not doubt when Yahashavai says, we are to move, we are to go, we are to be resurrected. Then Yahashavai came, he found that he had lain in the grave 4 days already. He had passed that 3-day mark. Now Bethany was nigh unto Jerusalem, about 15 furlongs off, and many of the Jews came to Mary and Martha to comfort them concerning their brother. Then Martha, as soon as she heard that Yahashavai was coming, went and met him, but Mary sat in the house. Mary was saddened by what had happened to her brother, and even though the Messiah was coming, she stayed in the house. Martha went out to meet Yahashavai. This is the same Mary and Martha that when Yahashavai came to visit them and to be with them, Mary was busy doing all the things in the house, but Martha, she went to the Messiah and she decided to sit at his feet and to learn. Sometimes we can be so distraught or so into doing the things that everybody says we are supposed to, and if we are not careful, we will forget that the Messiah is coming. The one who has the healing hands is coming. The one who can give us power and relevance, and his glory can be upon us. He is coming. Martha went out to him, and she said unto Yahashavai, If thou hadst been here, my brother would not have died. But I know that even now, whatsoever thou wilt ask of Elohim, Elohim will give it to thee. She said, I know that Lazarus is dead, but whatever you speak, if you speak he's dead or you speak that he has life, it will happen. She had faith. Yahashavai said unto her, thy brother shall rise again. Martha said unto him, I know that he shall rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Yahashavai said unto her, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. He said Lazarus will be able to live again because of his belief in me. Do not believe what you see with your eyes. Do not believe his last breath that you might have seen be drawn. He said, believe in me. He said, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. Then he asked, do you believe this, Martha? She saith unto him, yes, Lord, I believe that thou art the Messiah, the Son of Elohim, which should come into the world. And when she had so said, she went her way and called Mary her sister secretly, saying, the Master is come and calleth for thee. As soon as Mary heard this, she arose quickly, and she came unto him. Now Yahashavai had not yet come into the town, but was in that place where Martha met him. And the Jews then which were with her in the house, and comforted her, when they saw Mary, that she rose up hastily and went out, they followed her, saying, she goeth unto the grave to weep there. Then when Mary was come, and Yahashavai was, and she saw him, she fell down at his feet, saying unto him, Adon, Yahashavai, if thou hadst been here, my brother would not have died. When Yahashavai therefore saw her weeping, and the Jews also weeping, which came with her, he groaned in the spirit and was troubled, and said, where have ye laid him? They said unto him, Adon, come and see. Yahashavai wept. He loved Lazarus. This was tough for him. Even though he was coming back from the grave, he loved him. It was okay for him to grieve. Our beloved children, even though there are tough times and people say, get over it and be tough and be strong and don't allow this to happen, and you got to make sure everything is strong. It's still okay to grieve. It's okay to be sad. It is okay to miss our loved ones. He wept. Then said the Jews, then said Yahashavai, then said Israel, behold now, he loved him. And some of them said, could not this man which opened the eyes of the blind have caused that even this man should not have died? Could not, since he's the Messiah, if he was here, we've seen him do miracles. Is it possible he could have healed him? Why was he not here? Sometimes we have doubt and we say, why didn't you help when we needed the help? Elohim, why is it that we're going through these things now that we shouldn't have gone through? Why did we have to go, our people have to go through so much foolishness in this world and so many different situations? Had you been in with us, would situations have gone different? Yahashavai, therefore again groaning in himself, cometh to the grave. It was a cave, and a stone lay upon it. Yahashavai said with a loud voice, take ye away the stone. Martha, the sister of him that was dead, said unto him, Adon, by this time he stinketh, for he had been dead 4 days. Remember, they believed that after the third day that his spirit would have left. By this time, they believe his body would have begun to decompose. He should not be able to live. But Yahashavai, he said, roll away the stone. Yahashavai said unto her, said I not unto thee that if thou wouldest believe, thou shouldest see the glory of Elohim? Then after this, even though they doubted, even though they didn't know what was going to happen, even though they thought he might be making a fool of himself, even though they were figuring that this might hurt Mary and Martha even more, it says in the Bible that they still took away the stone from the place where the dead was laid. And Yahashavai lifted up his eyes and said, Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me, and I knew that thou hearest me always. But because of the people which stand by, I said it, that they may believe that thou hast sent me. He said, I already know what you can do, Father. However, everybody else needs to know that you are in control. And so I'm saying this out loud, not for my sake and not for your sake, but for the sake of everybody listening. Sometimes we need to speak a word around our friends and family, not for our sake and not for the sake of Yahweh, but so that everybody who's around us will know the power of the Most High Yah. Hallelujah. And when he thus had spoken, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. And Lazarus, who was dead, came forth, bound hand and foot with grave clothes, and his face was bound with a napkin. Yahashavai saith unto them, Loose him and let him go. He came out bound. They had bound his body, for they thought that he would never live again. But when Yahashavai shows up and heals and lifts us up out of our dead situations, he still knows that we might be bound. There's still healing that might need to take place. It's still difficult to operate. But he will make sure that you are loosened from what binds you. Then many of the Jews which came to Mary and had seen the things which Yahashavai did believed on him. But some of them went their ways to the Pharisees and told them what things Yahashavai had done. At this point, you cannot deny the power of Yahashavai, the Messiah. Why? Because he has raised someone from the dead. And after this, they would have sat down to eat. And when they sit down to eat, also in this tradition, remember we talked about that not every tradition in our culture should automatically be believed, because every tradition is not always based off of the word of Yah. We always have to be careful about what people tell us. And so people still didn't believe that Lazarus could be raised from the dead. Remember, it couldn't be true. He had gone past the 3 days. He was dead 4 days. And so when they would have sat down to eat, all Lazarus would have had to do is eat food, because they also believed that if you were alive, your digestive system would have had to work. And so when Lazarus sat down and ate, Yahashavai did not have to preach a sermon. He did not have to read the Bible. He did not have to turn to John chapter 11. All he had to do was allow Lazarus to eat. When Yahashavai heals us and makes us whole again, all he will have to do is allow us to live and to show the glory of Elohim just by your life. Let your light so shine before men. Walk in the day, as Yahashavai said earlier. And once the Pharisees had heard this, they gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees at council and said, What can we do about this? For this man does many miracles. Even when Yahashavai does miracles, even when he proves who he is, those who were in charge were afraid that they would lose those who were in what they would consider to be their congregation. They thought that they would lose their power. They thought that nobody would listen to them. And so now in their mind, they must make sure that they do damage to Yahashavai. And the same thing happens today. Why is it that we have churches that preach against the word of Yah? Why is it that we have governments that are against the word of Yah? Because they see the miracles of Yah. They see the people of Yah. They see you, children of Israel. and they know the power that you have. Always be very courageous and know that you are being trained and loved through a journey that will cause you to heal. Even when you heal and others hate what you have done, always remember that Yahashavai still is with you. And even if they threaten you, Yahashavai is always there to make sure that you will live, not just even physically, also for eternity. This has been the story of Yahashavai raising Lazarus from the dead, based upon John chapter 11, verses 1 through 47. Let those who have ears to hear what the Holy Spirit is saying to the assembly. This has been Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time by being a voice to the voiceless and speaking the unspoken until we have the great privilege and opportunity of speaking before you again. Please remember, as always, that you are loved, you are necessary, you are majestic, you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, we shall be the reason that people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shabbat Shalom.